If you're taking loads under $2 a mile, knock it off. You're the problem. So hello everyone, I'm Brian with Anchor Reliable Transport. I started my company a little over a year ago, but I've been trucking since 1996 when I got my CDL. First started with Transport America back in the day. Good company then. So the issue that I have out here is getting onboarded with these brokers. The brokers don't want to trust you because of all the fraud. So they look at you and they look at your company and they're like, oh, well, you're kind of new, so we can't hire you, so they don't want to work with you. But the thing that's really bothering me and that's affecting my company is the brokers are now requiring inspections. And when I say inspections, I'm talking about police pull you over, DOT pull you over, roadside inspections. And the brokers don't understand what they're asking for. Many of these brokers will say, oh, just go down to Love's and get yourself an inspection and upload it into the system and you're all good. And that is not the same kind of inspection. We all know what a DOT inspection is, an annual. We're required to do it on all of our equipment. Right. This is different than getting stopped by DOT. I just had a conversation with a broker a minute ago and I showed him a picture of my truck and I said, this is why I don't get pulled over. This is why. And he looked at my truck and he's like, that is a very nice truck. And I do. I keep my truck shiny. I don't have any duct tape on it. I don't have any zip ties on it. I'm of the older generation where we took pride in our equipment, right? There's pride in how I look. I'm dressed, with the shirt with my company logo on it. There's pride in how I drive. There's pride in how I look. I don't have any roadside inspections and there's nothing I can do about it.
Can I segue a little bit? I hear now that they're not allowing volunteer inspections anymore at the weigh stations. So if the brokers want you to get inspected, but then even when you go to the weigh station, they're not allowing volunteer inspections anymore.
This is correct. So I contacted the FMCSA. I need to kind of backtrack a little bit. So this started with, I called a broker up and I said, no, I don't have any inspections. So he looks me up on this check program called Carrier Assure. And he said, you have an F rating. And I said, an F rating? How do I have an F rating? What have I done wrong, right? I've never even heard of Carrier Assure. So I dug into it. I contacted Carrier Assure, and the first thing they said is, you got to be a customer before we can talk to you. So I had to sign up, $150, $60 a month.
You're making money. It's all about making money off the driver once again, sir.
Yes, sir. So I signed up for Carrier Assure, and guess what they tell me is that, you have an F rating because you have no inspections. At the same time, I noticed that my pre-pass in my truck went from giving me green all the time to giving me red all the time. So I contacted pre-pass and it's like, what's going on with my pre-pass? And they're like, well, you got pulled in for safety. And she said that my score was 77. And I'm like, 77? How do I have such a high score? So to get into what we were talking about, I contacted the FMCSA. They have artificially elevated my company's ISS score to 77 to get me inspected. But it's not happening. I keep getting pulled into the scales and they just wave me by. But I did talk to the guy and he said the same thing that you just mentioned, Alex, is we can't request an inspection, and this is because a lot of carriers were doing this and they would make sure that they sent their best equipment to be inspected. They would send their best trucks, they would send their best drivers, their best trailers, and say inspected, and what it was doing was it was giving an artificial CSA score. So it wasn't really representative of what the company was doing as a whole. It was representative of those special trucks that were sent for inspections. So they won't allow it. So you can call all day long and ask the DOT. I even called some friends of mine that are in state police and said, can you give me an inspection? They said, we'll get in trouble. They wouldn't do it. My thing with the brokers is I understand where they're coming from. There is so much fraud in the industry, it's ridiculous. I get it. But inspections isn't the only way, I should say, to verify that I'm actually running up and down the roads and hauling loads. One way, obviously, is references. Call the people I've hauled loads for. Call them and say, is he a good carrier? Did he haul his load? Was he on time? Ask. Yes, does that require, yes, it requires them to get on the phone and spend some time. But the other thing, and I'll be speaking about this tomorrow in the summit, is new carrier safety audit. Brokers have no idea what a new carrier safety audit is. And if you're not familiar with that, let me explain what a new carrier safety audit is. Once a carrier is 12 to 18 months old, the FMCSA sends the state police of wherever you're at. So let's say I'm in Indiana. So the Indiana State Police reached out to me and said, hey, we need to do this packet, we need to do this new carrier safety audit, and they started requesting a ton of information. They wanted 30 days worth of logbooks. Yes, 30 days to show I've been driving up and down the road. I had to show BOLs to match those logbooks, fuel receipts, toll receipts to match those logbooks. I also had to show UA, urinary analysis, to show that I'm doing my UAs, what the results were. I had to show that I've been into the clearinghouse and done queries on myself and any employees. It was an intense background into the company, the paperwork, to show not only am I running up and down the roads, but that I'm doing so legally. And I believe that the brokers themselves need to stop saying inspections is the only way we're going to onboard you, and also consider references and doing the new carrier safety audits.
No, that's good. I think that's the disconnect, is because they just see that and they go, okay, we're just going to do this, and then it's not all size fits all, right? You know, it's not going to happen that way. So, how much has this affected your business? Is it hard for you to get new loads just because you can't get this inspection right now? I mean, what does that look like? Do you need to buy a crappier truck or rent a crappier truck and they finally pull you over?
So, to answer your question, yes and no. I can get loads, but I can't get the better paying loads. When you look at brokers like Allen Lund and Axle Logistics and Landstar and the other ones, they're usually paying a little bit more. And that's because not everybody can load with them, right? Not everybody can load with them because their criteria, their bar is set so high. So I'm able to move loads, but I'm not able to move the higher paying loads only because I don't have an inspection. And so it really bothers me when I call a broker and they literally just hang up when you have no inspections. Click.
Wow. That's the one thing you just need, a dang inspection.
Yeah, my company's over a year old, so we're past that threshold. I was told by a broker that's actually become a friend of mine, my company has a 4.8 star rating out of 5. So the only issue that we have is an inspection. And for the life of me, I just cannot get a roadside inspection.
Right. So we got to figure out how to get you. I don't know if I know some people. This is the weirdest thing, right?
Right.
It's the one time in this world that a driver,
seriously,
like
it's like I'm the outcast.
They're trying to sneak away, go at dusk till dawn,
right?
Go past the chicken coop.
That's correct.
No, you're trying to get this dang inspection.
Exactly.
Someone please check my work.
I agree. I was talking to a driver on the CB the other day, and what did he say? I was a traitor. He called me a traitor because you want an inspection? Yes, I want an inspection.
Sometimes I put fun titles. I already see the title. I can't get it. I'm begging for inspection, and not having inspection is ruining my trucking career.
Yeah.
No, but it's kind of true, right?
That's where I'm at.
I think this is important. We got to share it to people, because if you're having this issue, there's other people that have this issue too, and so we need to bring it up to the light and let people know that there's got to be another way besides just saying, hey, got to have this inspection.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And like I said, tomorrow I should be speaking at the summit at a roundtable. I think Adam is hosting that, one of the hosts of the summit here. I think he's running that roundtable discussion. But like I said, the brokers, they don't know. Even the ones that have been sitting here, they've never heard of a new carrier safety audit. And the one thing that they keep...
How do they get it, right? So I've heard of it. So
Carrier 411.
So they're going to have to go on Carrier 411.
Carrier 411 is one of the big barriers because it's not one of the listed items to check off, right? So inspections is one of them. So I've heard it from multiple brokers. Well, you need to get with Carrier 411 and make sure that it's listed in their criteria as one of the ways to do an inspection, or one of the ways to do a background check is with a new carrier safety audit. So because it's not listed in Carrier 411, they don't know about it, they won't use it, they don't care about it.
So that's one of the pain points as of right now.
That's one of the main pain points is Carrier 411 not listing it.
A lot of drivers and carriers have a lot of problems with Carrier 411.
Carrier 411, don't even get me started. I guess you've heard about the new changes coming up?
Tell them.
Have you?
Tell them.
Carrier 411. Well, the owner, I won't even say anything nice about him. We'll just leave it at that. So I actually had a Carrier 411. It's called a freight guard, so that's what they call it. Broker put a freight guard on my company.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything. It was a mistake. And for 2 weeks, while I was trying to clear up this mistake, I couldn't haul for anybody but TQL. Nobody would load my truck at all. Nobody, because of a freight guard.
Isn't it crazy that? And then, like, when you want to fight it, there's just no way to fight it?
There's no way to fight it. The brokers have all of the power against the carriers, and the carriers have no recourse. I mean, I was on the phone with a broker one time. He kept hanging up on me. And I was getting really upset. I just wanted to get my point across, and this was about inspections. I won't mention the broker. And I called him back. I kept calling him back. I'm like, this is very rude. Quit hanging up on me. I'm like, he just keep hanging up on me. And so I finally said to him, I'm like, listen, why don't I just come to your office so we can talk in person? That way you can't hang up on me. And I wasn't trying to be threatening or anything of the sort, but that's exactly how he took it. And so he's like, well, that's a freight guard, right? And this was the first time I'd ever heard of the word freight guard. And then I Googled it, and I was like, oh, crap. So anyway, so the new changes to freight guard is, and I mentioned I had a freight guard, and I got a hold of the broker, and I presented all the information that I needed to present, and the broker agreed to take that freight guard down. But this was 2 weeks later. Under the new rules that are about ready to take effect, or they have already taken effect, after 72 hours, you have 72 hours to dispute something. So if a broker files something against your company, you have 72 hours to dispute it. After 72 hours, that becomes live for everyone to see, both what was said and your reply. Under the new rules, once that 72-hour period has expired, it can never, ever be removed. Doesn't matter if the freight guard was fraudulent, doesn't matter anything. So you could be in business for 10 years out here, have a great reputation, a new broker can come in, be in business for 2 months, you piss him off, he puts on a freight guard against you, and your business is dead. Your business is dead. I mean, you can't get loaded. When you got a freight guard, nobody's going to load you. So that's one of the big things is once a freight guard is published, it can't be removed. And I think that is a very...
I heard about this very recently, but I got to dig deep on when the dates of this...
I'm not certain if it's taken effect yet, but it's...
Maybe, can we Google it already? On your phone?
Yes, you can. So there's already some information about it. And it's my understanding that the guy that runs Carrier 411 said this was to stop the fraud. Again, we're back to fraud of people starting up services for pay in order to have freight guards removed. So a broker puts on a freight guard, and this company, you pay them, and they'll work to have that removed, work with the broker or whatever. So he's trying to put them out of business and stop the fraud, as he's calling it, of having legitimate freight guards removed through a paid source, right? So that is, from my understanding, where he's coming from. One of the other things is he's now listed a whole bunch of different criteria of why you could end up having a freight guard. One of them is using a foreign entity. So let's say you're using a foreign dispatch service from India. They call my company probably 10 times a day, every day, asking for a dispatch service. So let's say I used one of them. That can be a freight guard now, right? One of the other ones, if I can't even remember right now what the other one was. Asking for detention pay, layover pay, stuff like that maybe wasn't the full amount, or the amount was in error or something like that. That can be a freight guard. Basically, freight guards and Carrier 411 have given 1,000% of the power to the brokers and 0 power to the trucking companies.
I wonder if we could follow the money on this. I wonder how much lobbying money. I'm just saying.
I have no idea. I would suspect that the CEO of that company is probably walking around with bodyguards.
Yeah, he's doing. I'm telling you, because you are not the first, right? Yeah. So I've been doing these interviews for a long time now, and when people bring up the freight guard, they're like, "When is this company just going to belly up?" Right?
Yeah.
And because it's just.
They're not going to. They're the number one background checker for carriers in the industry. They've been at it the longest, and from what I understand, they're not going away. But, and I'm not saying that the idea or premise behind what they do is wrong. Just the way that the owner, the CEO is carrying about it is wrong. He's given, like I said, all of the power to the brokers and none to the carriers. Any broker can post anything on his site. They don't check it. They don't care. They don't ask for documentation. Nothing. And of course, the government laws about a website not being accountable for what people post on their site, leaves him, without any liability. But that may be changing because some lawyers that I've already spoken to and read accounts from is if, let's say, Alex, you haul a load and a guy puts a freight guard against you and you sue that guy in court, right? And the judge says, okay, that broker has to take that down. Well, he can't. So the harm or the punishment that's happening to your company is just never going to end. Right. In other words, now what that broker has to pay you is never going to end. So what he had to pay you before was just the amount of money that you lost while that freight guard was up. But imagine that freight guard never comes down. that broker is just going to have to perpetually keep paying you. So I do know of some attorneys that have been telling brokers, stop using freight guard, stop putting posts on. Very, very carefully consider putting a post on because of the liability could end up just being forever.
Right. No, I appreciate it. No, thank you. You know, anything else at the very end that you'd like to share with the world of trucking?
If you're taking loads under $2 a mile, knock it off. You're the problem.